Hey everybody, it is Rolly, and I'm here with Sherry Jibb today. So anybody who's local to us knows Sherry just as much as I do, I'm sure. So really excited to be on with Sherry, and I'm super excited that she's come back to be one of our speakers again this year. I know that we've had some huge comments about how great her conversation was last year, and how she was able to help people be able to kind of connect with themselves. And again, anybody who knows Sherry knows that that's definitely something that she's able to do quite easily. So welcome, Sherry. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super pumped to be back again this year. Last year was just I really had no idea what to expect. I just knew that it if we remember the story about that, it like hit me 3 times. I saw it and I went, no, no, no. And then I saw it again and I went, no, no, no. And the third time it came through, I went, all right, already, all right, already, I'll give it a go. And and I applied, and not having any idea of what that was going to be. And even though I was a speaker, I think that the gifts that I received from that weekend were tenfold. They really were. It was such a beautiful experience. It was a connection with so many people, and it just it was fun. It was laughter. It was tears. It was dancing like no one's watching. It was, it was just really such a soul and a spirit connection with everyone that was there. All the speakers were just tremendous. I left there with just really feeling rejuvenated on a total high. And at that point, I was actually running one of my own challenges online. So I was navigating all of that. But I'm so glad I didn't miss it. And I'm so glad that I showed up, not just to come in and speak and go, but like I showed up for as much as I could be there on the weekend. And I'm really glad that I didn't rob myself of that experience, for sure. Definitely.
And that's been my experience over the last 3 years as well. Is like, yes, I do all the organizing and I do all the planning, and I also speak, but it's like what I get back from it is just so much
Oh,
more
for
than
sure.
what it is that I'm putting out. And and I know that a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like that's lots of money, and it really is. And I'm not denying that it isn't lots of money, because it definitely is lots of money, but it's also what it is that we get back from each one of the speakers, and but then that connection that we have with each other as well. And so when it took me a long time to decide that I was going to be doing this virtually, and so for anybody that was applying as a speaker, it was kind of like last minute. You've only got like, I think, 10 days, like it wasn't very long.
Yeah, yeah.
That I had put out there to say, okay guys, like if you're wanting in, you guys need to apply now, because if not, like then we're moving through. And then I was shocked to see that there was 38 women across the world, like not just ours locally, or not just in Ontario, or not just across Canada, but like globally, that were willing to be able to do this. And I'm like, okay, so this is a good sign.
For sure. And I think that's part of the attraction too, is, being able to connect with people all over the world. And I think that there's so many beautiful messages out there, and not that we don't have them locally. Absolutely. I mean, we have a community that blows me away all the time. We have such a supportive, loving community. And I mean, but that chance to be global, and, in regards to spending the money, this is a pivot point in healing. I have found, at least my takeaway from last year's pivot in healing, and we're all on our healing journey. And I mean, the studio that I run is the healing place, and it's virtual right now. I do have one here in Kennebec as well, but I mean, we're there virtually. We're creating community. We're having fun, we're moving, we're breathing, we're doing all these kinds of things. And if you'd asked me before COVID if I could have created a connection virtually like this, I said, no, How can you do that? And, I was having a conversation with another colleague not all that long ago, and she said to me, well, you just can't create that energy exchange. I said, you are totally wrong. You are wrong, because you can. And that virtual community that can be created and that energy exchange that can happen virtually, I'm just blown away by it. And I'm constantly learning by that. And the world has opened up, I think, to all of us through COVID. That has been one silver lining to COVID, is that, virtually it's exploded. We can do things now that and as you can tell, I have my crystal. I have this crystal because I'm talking and I have about 4 more in front of me. So, and I love my crystals for sure. But, and this is a place where I can talk about that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's not looked at weird or whatever. Right. It's just like, oh yeah. Okay. So what are you using that crystal for? You're having those exchanges with people that are just really, there's so much growth. I think there's just so much growth that comes out of that weekend. Well, I know there is. There really is. And like I said, that energy exchange that can happen virtually, it can happen. Absolutely. But you have to remove the blocks.
Yeah.
And the stories that you tell yourself about the virtual connection. Because I'm here to tell you it can be done. And I have clients. I'm working with clients that are not here locally, and, giving me feedback like, Sherry, that yoga class was like so moving. I released so much. I can feel the healing happening, and we're not in the same room.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It really is. It's so incredible. And it's something that, and because I've been working online for a while, so like I've learned how to be able to, that I've already been opened up to that. But like in terms of the conference, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how we're going to do this. And that was kind of where I was kind of like teetering, because I have had different experiences where they're talking to us, right? So like, it's like a Facebook Live kind of conversation, or it's on a webinar kind of conversation. And it's like, it's not the same in terms of being able to have that connection. And not to say that we don't learn or that we don't experience, but I think that the biggest thing with our women's conference is that connection that we make with others, right? So like, it's not just what it is that we hear. It's not just what it is that we have going on. It's also having that connection of the other people and having that opportunity for us to be able to talk. Because I know that for me is that there's always somebody in the audience that I am taking something home from. So they've shared something, and they've done something that it's like, okay, so like that is something that I'm holding in my heart that is like super important as to what it is that's going on. And so one of the conferences that I attended, and then again more recently, but back in August, I had attended a virtual conference, and I thought, okay, it's going to be them talking to us kind of thing, whatever. But I really want to do this. It was something that was really important to me as part of my own growth. And so, but one of the things is that when, and I've done breakout rooms and stuff, but like not as a conference. And so when we did the breakout as a conference, and I have made friendships with some of the women that I connected with during that weekend that are on the same journey as me. And so we've been able to connect outside of the conference. And so we've become Facebook friends, and we have that connection, and we're able to do different things together and stay connected on something that was virtual. And so, and when I decided that this is what I was going to do, it was like, okay, so how I'm going to do this, and what is it that I'm going to be doing so that I can actually get the best connection? Because one of the things that I know that when I'm on a call and you've got people that are interrupting because you're hearing what they're having for dinner because like they forgot to mute their button, like those are things that like really irk me from a listening perspective. So it's like, I want to listen to what the person had to say, because then you have to stop, you have to repause, like all those kinds of things that are going on. And sometimes the person speaking doesn't even realize that the other person's talking because they're focused on what they're doing. So then you're commenting saying, okay, can somebody mute that person? Like all that kind of thing. So like we've got somebody in the back end that's going to be able to help to make sure that everybody's muted and unmuting. So having trouble with unmuting and things like that. But so that when we are actually having conversations, so because some of the presenters are having those interactive dialogues, right? So that was one of the things that was important is that they were able to have that interactive dialogue. So people can unmute to have a conversation. People can unmute to be able to say what it is that they need to say, but then they get to be muted again, which allows, like, so that it's a lot easier in terms of the managing of things. But then when we get to go into the breakout rooms and have those conversations, or when we are having lunch, for anybody who wants to stay part and stay connected for the lunch hours, is that, like, the meal times, is that you're going to be able to still have like just random conversation while you're eating your sandwich or whatever it is that you're eating. And so, like, I just think that it's great because then we get to stay in the room. And when we talked to Amy yesterday, I think it was yesterday that I talked to Amy, but one of the things that she's doing is she's actually renting a motel room and going to have the conference. Right. So, like, it's just whatever.
That's awesome, eh? That's so great.
Yeah, it is. Like, I think that it's great. Right. So that it's just that whole interactive. And I know that when I've attended other conferences, that's one of the things that other people have done as well. And so it's like, yeah, they're in their motel room and you can see them in their motel room in their bathrobe and whatever else, just having a grand time of just being able to just be in that space. And that's the part that's like really nice, is that I would often get emails or messages saying, okay, well, what do I wear? Like, so like, it's like, come comfortably. Like, that's, for me, the conference is always about come comfortably. So like, I'm not expecting anybody to be, even in person, is like, I want you to be able to sit. So if you want to sit on the floor, if you want to sit with your legs crossed, or whatever it is that you want to be able to do, like, come comfortably. But doing it virtually, you can really come comfortably. You can.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can do this from your.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. There's some. Then, you know, there's something to be said for that. And, you know, I view those breakout rooms as like sacred space, sacred containers, right? Where you can just go in and have a dialogue and make connections, and, you know, in sacred space. And I think that is really cool. And, you know, if you're not Zoom friendly, or, you know, the whole tech thing, you know, if you just open yourself up to the possibilities, then, you know, you make space for the miracles to happen. I say that a lot, and I think that that's where it is. Sometimes we tell ourselves a story, we close the door, and we're just not open to the possibilities, and it just might change your life, because Lord knows, I mean, you know, I have a French Canadian mother and a Scottish father. Okay. So that takes stubborn to a whole new level, and especially my dad. And, you know, it's just like, come on, guys, like, you're, you know, and I've done that myself, right? Just like, no, I'm not open to that. And I find that when I open that door, wow, these are the things that change my life. This is where the opportunity for the next step in my path, or the next part in my journey, or my healing shows up for me, is when I'm willing to stop telling myself these stories, you know, of what it's going to be like, and just be open to what it could be like.
Well, and one of the things that I think is like super cool as well is like, so you talked about that sacred container and those sacred spaces. So anytime during the breakout rooms, or during the conversations during lunch, or those kinds of things, that is our sacred space. It's not being recorded. But the part that I think is super cool this year is, because we're virtual, is that we can hit record when Sherry's going to start her presentation. We can hit record when Amy is about to present. When Dana goes on and shares touch your tatas, right? So we get to
oh, that's going to be good. That's going to be fun.
So I love that fun energy and that creativity that we can actually put on. But when we are actually in that sacred space, it is that sacred space, and we actually get to hold space with that, where we don't have to worry about that. So it's not going to be recorded during those times. But I know that for me, over the last 3 years, I really wish that I could have gone back and listened to somebody's presentation.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. There's lots of value in that, for sure.
What did so-and-so say? Like, I know that when Tracy had shared last year, and like if there was anybody else, but Tracy had shared. And so Tracy had brought some connection to what it is that she did, but also with regards to the moon. And like, everybody knows that I'm super connected with the moon. And so it was like, oh, what was that one point that she said that it was like that aha, but it's like, I can't remember exactly what it was that she said. Whereas if we had the recording, I could just go back and re-listen to it. And so that's one of the benefits of this conference as well, is that you have access to the recordings. And then not only with the 17 live women who are actually going to be sharing, but we also have 8 women who are recording something ahead of time. So we would normally only be able to have 17 speakers and presenters during the entire weekend, whereas now we actually get to have 25, right? So it just gives that extra little bit of like, wow, like this is it allows us to be able to have those extra moments that and that extra input, right? So like, again, about that journey, so there may be something that Gail's speaking live, but now I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'm trying to come off somebody who is going to be recorded. But it's like we're going to be able to have those extra opportunities that when so-and-so gets to say something, that we get to go back and have that opportunity to listen to her, because otherwise she wasn't one of the selected 17 who were able to do live. But she has chosen to take that time to be able to record it, to be able to still be available.
Yeah, beautiful.
The conference.
Yeah, nice.
Right.
Nice.
So we still get to know her. We get to meet her. And then, of course, there's the exhibitors, right? So they always have something that is
for sure.
incredible, right? So like there's something that they may be having that. So we have services as well as products that are being shared. So it's great, like in terms of those connections and being able to have everybody join us. So Teresa says hello, and so does Crystal, and so does Francine. So hello, ladies.
Hello.
Sherry and I were talking, so I didn't stop. But I do want to acknowledge that you guys have said hello and thank you. And anybody who's catching the replay, definitely let us know. But yeah, so like if you've been still kind of sitting on the fence, and one of the things that I've been kind of putting out a couple of times, because I have had somebody reach out to me, is that, I really can't do this by this certain date in terms of the registration, then reach out to me. Like, let's figure out something so that you can still attend. So, so let's figure out what it is that we can do. And then we had the benefit of the Valentine's Day special that we were able to do because of sponsorship. So we have an anonymous donor that always sponsors a number of women to attend. And so we were able to do that across the board by doing it.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. So like that is the reason why we're able to do that, that Valentine's Day special. So, and a number of women were able to take advantage of that, because it was like, oh, I can't really do this at that price, but I can do it at this price.
Yeah. And I think we all put it out there as much as we could, between emails and social media and getting it out there. Yeah, good.
So definitely.
Nice.
So if you're catching this this recording, there's a link in here that in the description that you can still participate. And so registrations are going to be staying open. They were supposed to stay open until the 18th, but I think with the conversation that Teresa and I have had, is that we're going to give people the weekend as well. So, because the boxes don't go out until the 22nd, so we still have time over the weekend. So we're putting the boxes together on the 21st. So registration will stay open until the 20th. So like if there's something that's happening that you really want to do this and you've been on the fence, but you're stuck, then reach out to me and let's see what we can try and figure out to be able to still get you to participate. So awesome. Yeah, looking forward to this. So thanks again, Carrie, for joining.
Thanks so much for having me.
And looking forward to your talk. So Sherry's sharing enough already. So I can't wait to hear what Sherry has to say. So have a great day, everyone, and talk to all of you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.